Mhm. All right, we're live. I want to welcome everybody to the Administrative Executive Committee meeting. This is Wednesday, January 3rd, 3 p.m., and call the meeting to order. With that, we'll move on to committee public comments. Any comments from the committee? Nothing from the public. All right, the first thing we'll discuss is the draft travel policy, board to review and recommend an action. So who's going to update us on that?
I can do that. We wanted to take a look at the travel policy again for a couple of reasons. One being, currently, travelers have to keep and maintain their receipts for any meal purchases, and that becomes a little onerous both for the employees, the traveler, as well as accounting when we have to reconcile and receipts get lost and all that. So we wanted to put together a policy that allowed for per diem, similar to other agencies as well as maybe the federal government. I'm not sure. I thought they'd done.
Yeah, essentially it's
per diem.
based on federal government.
Right, it's
So
just
we're gonna use the same per diem that a government
Yeah.
employee would use.
Okay.
$50 a day at this location, 70 there, hotel rate, all that
All
stuff.
right.
Right, and that it'll be based on the GSA website for locality.
Okay,
Unfortunately, for board members, it does not apply. They'll still have to keep receipts, and that's because of special reporting we have to do to the
Right.
state. So, so basically, that's what you have in front of you.
okay. Yeah, I figured this was something was coming soon because with the pricing you had for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, you could add all those up and you won't get a dinner.
Right.
These days, and you're not gonna touch a breakfast for $13 if you go to a sit-down, nice breakfast or decent breakfast anyway.
And then, if someone wants to eat McDonald's most of the week and then go out for a steak dinner at the end,
It's their choice.
Well, the other nice thing is that GSA updates these rates based on inflation and other stuff
Right.
automatically. So once the policy's in place, it's sort of a self-adjusting policy, which is nice.
Okay, so you're just gonna put, rates will be based on the current GSA reimbursement
Exactly.
for per diem.
Exactly.
And that's per diem strictly for meals, correct?
Yes.
How about any travel and hotel, things like that? You still need to keep all the,
Yeah, hotel and that stuff will still
keep the
be
receipts? Okay.
Receipts.
And then mileage, of course, is based on actual mileage or,
Right.
Google Map, but that's almost exactly how the federal.
That's how
government
most
does it.
people do it anyway, yeah.
I think the only exception to the way the federal government does is you can get a federal government rate at certain hotel rooms, but I don't think that they would let us do that because we don't have the government ID, which is unfortunate. Save us a few
Okay.
bucks on hotels, but other than that, it very much mimics the federal process.
So there's not a lot of change here except for where you come under meals, correct? Yeah.
Right.
So you're taking out the whole reimbursement when purchased and adding this section on meals.
Yeah.
All right. Give me a moment here.
On page 4, 3. Item 4, district employees will not be reimbursed for lunches at the location of the conferences within the city. Is there a corresponding sign for will not be able to charge breakfast?
No, because they wouldn't. Well, no,
Where are you looking,
because
David?
they're still
Page 4,
it's within the same day. So no.
item 3,
Okay,
number 4.
number 4.
Yeah.
I
I see
see.
what your comment is like, are we gonna reimburse you? Yeah, I think,
I can change lunches to meals.
Yeah, because you're gonna be eating a meal anyway if you're in town. I see what you're saying. Yeah. It's usually a lunch you're worried about than anything, but I think meals is a better for that.
And I think you have a line item that if you're there and you have to buy a meal to participate in the event, that the count will cover the cost.
Yeah.
So if they're at a conference in town, then there's a dinner or an official luncheon, then that would cover that exception. So I think I switched that from lunch to meals.
And you were reading the exception below number 4, right?
Okay, right. There's another one also about special events.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that's about it. Looks like you got it all covered.
Okay.
I don't see a problem with it, with the addition of
With that
changing.
one change?
With that one change. So I think we can recommend that approval.
I concur.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments on it? Nothing from the public? I do see one person on, but no calls, okay. It's probably Sharon watching. Okay, on to number 4, personnel manual changes. Approval of the changes of personnel manual due to adoption of the 410 schedule. And that's in here, correct? Here it is.
Just to clarify on the previous item, that was a recommendation for the board
Yes.
to approve. Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry, Mr. Chairman.
no, that's fine.
Okay.
Is everybody in favor of this? Did you did the mandatory yes, no, across the board?
Yeah, and Lauren did some pretty outstanding work, researching all the various regulations and going through and checking grant back. So I thought her work was very
And making
thorough and
sure,
researching
yeah.
that it was good, so.
Did we have
Kudos to
anybody that
Laura.
had a problem with it?
Okay. We had less than a handful of employees have concerns, but we were able to iron those out and possibly offer a modified work schedule.
Okay,
So we were able to get more than the majority of our employees on board with the 410
Okay.
schedule.
and as far as operations and, I would say operations and also our public, payment area and such, are you guys happy with that? Is it gonna work with our system? Both the operations is a big one.
The customer accounts area, besides that non-flex Friday, the hours will remain the same for customer accounts.
Okay,
The opening office hours, so that won't affect
Yeah.
oh, it's
our
not,
customers, except for the non-flex Friday.
okay,
Yeah, we did have to rearrange kind of the billing schedule, but yeah, that's something we were able to.
so what you're saying is customer service is, there's nothing really gonna change there in terms of their hour, because they were closed one Friday anyway, correct?
Right, so now they'll just be closed both Fridays.
Once
Both
every
Fridays.
2 weeks, they'll be closed one extra day.
And the fact, how late we were open already during the regular days when they were open there?
Open till 5:30.
See, so now you're gonna, what's the 10-hour schedule? Time to time, have you decided?
So it's either 7 to 5:30 with a half-hour lunch or 6:30 to 5:30 with an hour lunch.
Okay, so you're still gonna close at 5:30? Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see. And then on operations, Jason, anything that's,
No, there were, like Lauren said, there were concerns that were addressed, and there are, it'll be an adjustment period as far as standby goes,
Mhm.
but it's something new, so we'll just play it by ear.
Okay.
There's nothing outstanding that would warrant us not to do it.
okay? And I take it that once, if the rest of the board approves this to move ahead, that there's gonna be some kind of announcement to the public that basically these are our office hours now, or hours here.
Yeah, we'd obviously post that on the internet.
Yeah, we can post it. We can use WaterSmart to send out an email to everyone and,
Okay.
signs on the doors. Yeah.
And I assume George, Jason, Ty, and Renee also gonna be here every day, 12 hours a day, 7 days a week? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, nothing changes for us.
Okay.
I have a,
I-
Would you,
go ahead.
why would you reduce our schedule so much?
David, do you have any questions?
all right, so for the schedule, would you say the majority of the employees are all for it or willing to give it a try?
I think majority's all for it.
So they don't, under the impression that we're forcing
No, the
10
handful.
hours down their throats.
Yeah, the handful is just willing to give it a try. I don't think they're even necessarily, against it. They just have, maybe it's dropping kids off at school or something.
I was wondering what the concerns
Yeah,
were.
so we'll work around that with.
And
So
this,
in shop talk, when I go out to see the guys in the morning, the question I get most often is, when do we get to start 410s?
David, you had something else?
they just want an extra half day off if they want to
Yeah.
start their 10-hour days.
Yeah.
So it was requested by employees, and we're not expecting to see people with pitchforks and torches. Right, okay, but I can't see why we could complain about that. It doesn't interfere with operations or maintenance.
Yeah. I don't see an issue with it. I've been involved with these type of schedules before. And, the biggest thing is making sure the employees are happy with it because it's a long day. It really is. And labor standards also require within that 10-hour day, if I'm not mistaken, aren't there two? The lunch periods are important. Because I remember that if you go, once you do 8 hour, I can't remember exactly, but something to do with 10 hours, now you're involved with another lunch or
I
another
think you get
meal.
another 10 or 15
Another
minute
break or something.
like that, by
Yeah.
FSLA type stuff.
But
It's going to be incumbent upon the managers, the various sections, to ensure that their personnel are taking the required breaks. There is no mercy from the state if the employee said, well, I just felt like I didn't need to do that break. They will still come on and bash us with a hammer, so.
well, believe it or not, that was challenged at the state. Some group went to the state quite a few years ago because they were saying, we want to skip our lunch because we have this to do, or we were going to take that extra half hour at the end of the day.
Right.
By the letter of the law,
Right.
they weren't allowed to. However, it was challenged in court, and it was supported that the employee could have the flexibility if they want to say, I don't want to take that extra half hour. I'm going to work through it and I'll take it at the end. So there is some flexibility there, and we can verify that again, because this was like 4 years ago when I talked about, because that was always an issue with employees because they come, by the way, I got something to do after work. If I work through lunch, can I take that extra half hour? And originally the state needed to say that it needed to be in writing and approved within 3 days or something like that.
What if they want to
beforehand.
skip their lunch every day?
Yeah, they were allowed to.
The
I have to write that down.
No,
And what is the purpose of the rules?
I have no clue to
Okay,
California
all right.
about it, but I don't think we're gonna have that issue, but just something we need to check on just to be sure, because you might have people saying that
the timesheets that we fill out now have a box that's checked that says they
they took their lunch.
took their lunches and breaks.
Good. Absolutely,
All
because
right.
anybody can come back again regardless of what's been decided or not.
I know I
Yeah.
checked the box, but
Yeah.
it wasn't serious.
Yeah, exactly. Someone made me do it. I don't see any problem with this. Do you want to recommend approval?
I will recommend approval.
Recommend approval. Okay.
Jason's
Next.
gonna be a popular guy tomorrow.
Really?
Well, he gets to deliver the news.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. When does it officially take effect?
It won't take effect until January 22nd, because we'll start at the new pay period.
Okay,
That's January 22nd.
okay.
January 22nd, 26th.
No comments from the public, nothing else from the board or staff?
You still have your one observer.
All right, yes. Wish we knew who that was, yeah. Let's see, manual changes. Agenda for public hearing and the regular board meeting of January the 8th. Let's take a glance at this and see where we are.
This is the regular meeting.
Right. Item F.
I would change the language.
Yeah,
of
we
that.
already did. We already talked about that beforehand. We can
Okay.
change that language. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Wait a second. Public hearing on the draft. Comments on it. Okay, so yeah, we have, so, now you know that one of our board members feels that there wasn't an adequate time for the public to see this, but I know it was on our on our page. And,
Since November.
oh, and the only reason, correct me if I'm wrong, the reason we delayed it one board meeting is, Ty, you wanted to make sure that we had the ample amount of time for the posting between the final hearing, wasn't that it?
Someone did. I don't
Jim.
think it was me.
Well,
It
Jim?
was Jim.
Okay. I knew that we were right on the wire for the posting, so we said, let's not take a chance and take another 30 days.
Right.
Okay, I just want to be sure of that. But
Yeah, it's been on there since we announced it back in November.
can you summate, I guess, any major changes in it?
The reason the changes were made was because of the new rate structure.
Okay,
So we had to change the tiers on there, and we also have well 35 online, so we had to put in that production that we're, so you'll see numbers that are changed as far as how much we can produce every day, and so making sure we're meeting maximum demand
can
and all that
you,
kind of stuff.
can you be prepared to summate that with some actual, note? This went from this to this? Just 'cause
Yeah.
I just know what I want to do
I
is
plan to
shorten
bring the
this.
red line with me.
Yeah, good. Bring the red line with you and be
Just in
prepared.
case, but yeah, it's, and then changing like ordinance numbers.
Right, yeah.
104 to 106.
House-
or whatever it
housekeeping
was.
things.
Yeah, that's basically what it was.
Check all the capitalization, hyphens and commas and page numbers. I'm just,
Basically, that was it. Yeah, the change was made from the original plan due to the change in the rate structure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can summate, because you could, when you read through the thing, unless you, the draft that you have on there, you gotta be, it's not cumbersome, I should say, but it may be for public. So if you come here and say, here's what we've changed.
Yeah.
And what we've done, I
We do
think that'll
that.
make it much easier to approve. David, do you have anything on that one you'd like to add?
Nothing on that particular item, no.
Okay, so that one is, A is public hearing, public comments. B is consider approval of the draft contingency plan. And C is rescinding the previous plan. Is that correct? Okay. So those all pretty much fall under the same guise. All right, consent calendar, it's pretty straightforward. The draft policy we just discussed. Personnel manual changes.
Discussed.
We just discussed that. Change in the water management committee. I want to keep that pretty short if we can. David, do you have any idea when you think that might be the idea is that we want to move it the same day as this meeting, but we may need to shift the times a bit so we can accommodate the staff.
So we've got,
We do 2 here.
right,
And then,
I think pairing it up, maybe I would put it before the admin exec committee.
okay.
Have the admin exec, the last of the committee meetings before the main event.
I think that's the recommendation we can make. Do you
Okay.
have time recommendations? Jason, was there some issues with time? You want to start at 2? So we'll 2,
Probably shouldn't recommend anything right now, because this is a standing item on the board agenda and not an admin exec. So this
Okay.
needs to be discussed at a board level, so I wouldn't suggest.
well, I guess what I'm asking for my own edification is that I'll probably make my own recommendation. That's what I'm asking if the staff had a recommendation, and because that's, you're thinking what I was too, the same as the other ones, 2 and 2:30, pretty much. And knowing that the
I
water,
was giving water management an hour.
okay, so 2 and 3? Yeah, I'm not like, yeah, we're not gonna recommend the times, Lauren.
No, you're
But
just
that-
looking
but
at the
I-
agenda right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna recommend
Like
any
right then
times. I just wanna be
2:15
prepared.
PM, yeah.
Yeah, I wanna be prepared that we don't.
5:35.
Yeah, I don't want to get into a 40 minutes discussion about
Thank you,
times.
Renee, for the courtesy chuckle. I appreciate it.
Excuse me. All right. Comprehensive adjudication, that's up to Jim, what he's going to report on that. And manager report. Let's see. Annual board workshop. Did George, do we want to go ahead and add in there, just remember I said I wanted to get the board's nod for you to proceed with attending the courses that are offered by Sturma and such. We may just want to make an item in there. Can you squeeze it in on one of these other ones, or
I
do you
think
want to
I
add
can
it?
generally put that under public outreach, because it's a place where I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna be talking to other general managers and sort of, talking to other districts, and so I think
I
under
don't
that,
think-
I think under number 2, I could squeeze that in, and I believe it falls well within the authority of the amount of money I'm allowed to spend,
Right.
but it's just sort of like a heads up to the
It's just a
board.
nod to the board from the board. Yeah. Yeah. As long as you bring it up, I might
Yeah,
forget.
I'll just leave it under public
Yeah.
outreach.
And this, if you remember, David, was, I had requested that George look at what was available for training new general managers.
I do
such as-
remember that.
Right.
I
He's
believe we
found
did-
some good stuff.
Right.
One is a seminar that's away from home, and one of them is, will continue sort of some online type things. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's some sort of it's a certification.
Yeah,
That-
okay.
It takes 3 years to get it. You have to be in the position for at least 3 years, or at least work district for 3 years. But there's a whole series of training that leads up to an examination. And so yet another learning opportunity for me. I'm excited.
Okay, I don't see anything else.
Item
on-
3,
Okay.
state regulatory updates.
Yeah,
So we've got the one on making conservation a way of life in California. Is there any advantage to making that a 2-item, number 3 an A and a B, and B being the mandatory electrification of utility vehicles?
So I think we're gonna
but I think what he's asking is, do we want to add that as a regular one so we keep updated on it?
I was gonna say, it's on the workshop, so. you
Yeah, I
can
was
add it
gonna
to
say,
the
let's
working too.
discuss at the workshop whether we need to, because I think we have a little bit of research to do.
Okay.
So I've been, I know Ty's been kind of looking at it, and I think I've asked that he, at the workshop, be prepared to sort of present where we're at and where we're going. And then I think, once we hear that, I think it'll give us enough information to decide whether it needs to be a recurring thing or just something we.
Okay, and we can decide to that particular meeting if we want to put it recurring on here.
Yeah.
On a regular board meeting.
Oh, I'll want to put it on there.
You're gonna wait.
Oh, yeah.
You're gonna want to put it on there, okay.
Okay.
Don Zadiba didn't like the item that's on there now, but
Right.
I
But just it keeps us updated if there's something going on, because we tend to, if there's so many things happening in the state, we never know what's going on, you know?
So let me expand on a little. The reason I wanted, it doesn't have to be on this one. We can add it, or I will request it to be added after the board workshop, unless there's a resolution on the board workshop. And I don't believe there is, but I'd
No.
like to have them on the agenda because I think it's important that the public hear as often as possible exactly what the representatives in Sacramento are mandating and what the real life consequences of things like electrifying all of your trucks are going to be. So
And don't forget.
that's my reasoning for wanting it on there.
And don't forget, we have number 4 as well. Typically, the board workshop listing would be on it, could be under that one as well.
We don't have to just have
Yeah.
that particular electrification on this agenda, but I probably will request it in the future.
Okay,
Okay. Thank you for the guidance on that one. That
Yeah.
one, we weren't really sure what the request was for. Now we understand.
No, it's the same reason I asked to have the AB 1668 and 606 on there. It was,
Yeah.
I read it and I got quite excited, and not in a good way. Agitated is a better word, and I just wanted the people to know what was happening.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have, Ron.
you want to recommend that we go ahead? I don't think there were any changes, were there? Or just the addition that George is going to put under, or at least note to talk about, and also item F under closed session, reword that.
Hey, Ron, I was gonna, just to keep consistency on the transmission pipeline, just to recommend we change it to Northwest Transmission
That's
Pipeline
right, yeah.
Replacement.
Yeah, definitely.
And then just update on the project instead of update on the failure, just, we're out to bid,
All
so.
right. Very.
So is that
So shall
north,
it be?
It's an official replacement project.
Is
So
it-
shall it be.
is it north/west, north-west?
just northwest.
Norwest?
Northwest.
Okay.
As long as we stay consistent. I don't see anything else, David. I think
I don't either. It looks
move
good.
ahead, because we do have the long one to discuss. Any comments from the staff on the, or the public on it? Nothing? All right. So let's move on to the agenda for the special board workshop. I've been working back and forth with George as things came in and trying to pare down, how we can do this, because there were so many things that were showing up on this, we would have been here for 2 days.
Okay.
So this is where we are, so,
This is the pared down list.
yeah, the best we can.
Okay.
Cost analysis.
That's a half an hour. That's an hour.
Audited and planning for stability, major system upgrades within 10 years.
Yeah, so generally what I would say, just so everybody understands, items 1 through 6, under A, workshop issues, those would be longer discussions.
Right.
And then the items under staff goals, 1 through 8, will be briefed by staff, and there's gonna be a fair number of slides, maybe about 30 plus.
It's not gonna be that little tiny thing we
It's
had.
not gonna be on the tiny font and we're gonna,
You know, yeah.
and so we're kind of going through, and this is a really good educational opportunity for me. And as we develop those slides, we're going to try to keep those discussions to really just a quick briefing on each one and 2 minutes or so per slide.
That
So
was my
that's-
next question.
So there is a goal, which is to brief those slides in 2 minutes or less, and then focus on these larger topics primarily up front. So
So,
Do
hopefully
you
that
want to give the
works.
staff, do you want to give the staff goals first, or do you want to tackle the workshop issues and goals?
I think you always need to take the long items first, because otherwise we'll drop.
The staff might wax eloquent.
It
It'd
would
take 3
it
minutes
would-
a slide?
It would go long,
all right.
and then we would end up cutting short the really important stuff. at
do you
the
have a
end, which
feel
is
for
what
how
always
long the
happens.
staff portion will take? I'm trying to pare down the time.
We're talking 60 to 70 minutes.
Yeah, 60 to 70 minutes for that. So there's probably going to be a little break there. It's going to be about an hour, and then a break, and then another hour.
And if we go over a little slightly past one, we do. So David, let's look through these. And I'm potential strategic planning for the ad hoc committee. Are you gonna take control of that one?
I can tell them what we've come up with so far, I guess.
And what you need? The whole idea we tried to get here was to get things that we can discuss on here
I can report out.
that you need.
I like it also, I can report out that many of the issues that we were originally looking at became overcome by events.
And
So
you
we can do
know,
that.
and you are aware, I'll be bringing the draft of the outline for
Okay.
that committee. That's about a 3.5-page document that I wrote based on our last meeting. And
Okay.
that'll be there to go over as well, and
That's
it'll
the-
be included.
Is that the one you emailed out?
I emailed it, I believe, to
Yes.
you,
And
and
Mel. Okay, thank you, right.
so that's a good starting point to say, this is kind of what we envision, and we can take that and redline it up, and I'll make whatever edits are needed.
Okay.
So we're looking, I'm gonna try to keep each of these to about 30 minutes, but I think some I can.
That one's easily
Less.
20 minutes.
Okay.
That's number
Well,
one.
you know, you have to keep in mind the board
Yep.
and what questions you're gonna get and what pontifications you're gonna have.
Well, that would be me. So.
Yeah, well, not necessarily. And that's why I'm wondering, is there anything you want to change on there?
No.
That, okay. Major system upgrades needed within 10 years. Isn't that typically covered under the long-range planning for capital investment? Does-
Yeah, that's something we go over every year during the budget process.
Okay. I'm just
I mean,
asking.
we might just say that that's where it's captured at, and I think one of the reasons that's on there is in particular because things that we see from the water board, should the imported water pipeline come, that might end up having to change about how we operate the system, how we manage it, what the system, that might need a relook if something were to change about how we really, let's say imported water did come, that would probably change what that looks like.
Well, there may be something on item C, number 1C, that is not on the current list. of
Right.
things.
Yeah, as a heads up, we talked about that new requirement from the drinking water, the SWRB. Yeah, so you're gonna have some of those things come up in here as well, but we'll try to limit the.
I think that's what I was inferring.
Yeah,
Those
well-
things are they might cause changes to that plan.
And I want to make a point, I'm not gonna try to get answers, because we could sit here all day and discuss numbers back and forth and answers. We're just gonna say that these are the things we need to be
These are items we're looking at.
we're looking at, right?
Right. And if the board's direction is, I don't know how often we open this 10-year plan, but, if the board's direction is we need to open it and look at it and at least understand how it might change, should other things change. You can tell us when it would be appropriate to do that.
So hopefully you get that done, 20 minutes, I'll plan for 30. Electrical vehicle mandate, what do you think on that timing on that one?
We're going to have a briefing for the progress done so far. I'm going to guess that's going to be about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Then I'm going to complain for 5 minutes about
Right.
the state mandate, and there'll probably be another 5 minutes of questions.
Do I get to beg for a Tesla Plaid as my personal car?
Well, just to talk, things
Grow
we'll
to
be
60
talking
in
about on
1
here is,
second or whatever.
what's the latest standing for electric vehicles?
Right. Where are we? What kind of considerations are there?
You're not gonna get a Ford truck that's electric. They shut that down. For instance, so again, this is gonna be one of these state mandates that we say, here's what could potentially come, and here's the potential problems we're gonna have. Because if both the city and us plug everything in at night, I'm not sure the city can handle it with their structure.
And the school districts,
Yeah,
which
we
have just
we
collected.
couldn't
electric
even get a
buses.
straight answer from SCE whether they could supply.
Yeah, they're not going to give you one. They don't know either.
And there's other things to consider, standardization, like if the city gets some, if we get some of our sedans or some of our smaller vehicles that do become electric vehicles, where it might make sense because they're not going long trips or whatever, you want to make sure that we have interchangeability and interoperability with other agencies within the county and within the city. We don't want to all have different kinds of charging stations and different kinds of infrastructure and different kinds of maintenance schedules and whatnot. That
Well, yeah, I could see for the charging stations and things like that, I can't see combining vehicles.
Yeah, I was just talking
And
about
can you
like,
find an electric backhoe? I'm just kidding.
So we've got,
What do you say, probably 15, 20 minutes on that one.
and I think that even Renee might have something to pitch in on this one. I don't know. Maybe it might come into, what we have to do to the yard to make the yard capable of recharging the vehicles. Maybe not. I know that Ty is going to give us a rundown on the costs, and Jason will probably, I'll ask him about what we do if there's a grid failure. What are our contingency plans? What have we got in place right now? What will we have to put in place to make sure that we have enough diesel generators to charge up the electric vehicles?
And just so you know, the amount of vehicles that we would be charging over here might use all of the energy we stored from our solar powered system just for vehicles. It might take more.
So that was just a heads up, Jason.
So I don't think we're gonna get a long way, but at least we have a heads up of where we're headed.
I'll try to keep my complaints down to a minimum.
well, and I think the important things are sort of the regulatory deadlines, like, is there a mandate to have a
Right.
certain percentage by a certain time? And is there a mandate to do certain kinds of vehicles? And if so, by when?
Oh.
Because those are all
And how much is the state gonna contribute in money to?
Is there an action to try to get the state to change its mind? And if not, are there any lawsuits being brought against the state that we might join?
Yeah, I think you'll find out this is one of these things that we're gonna
This
spend a
might go
lot of
little
time
longer
and
than
effort
20
on.
minutes, yeah.
And actually, that's part of a project too, maybe a number 6, we'll see.
Okay.
All right, a discussion on wastewater recycling, that was one that I requested. Again, I'm looking for an update of where we are. Are we still on board with, working with the city? And secondly, I think I'll be looking to the board for some recommendation on to proceed to get some firm costs together, updated costs, because it may be that it's way outside the range of what we consider, or it may be within it. So that's where I'm headed with that one, David, because we're bouncing it around. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, well, according to the GA, it's a $150 million project, but according to what we had 5 years or 6 years ago, it was 40 million.
Right.
So what's the real number? And that's what I'm looking at, because that's something that we would pass on to Ty, say, can that fit in anywhere in the next 10 years?
And I've already started discussions with Krieger and Stewart and some
Okay.
other things in this consulting company that we've talked with, and we have a meeting set up on the 18th of this
Okay.
month where we're all going to sit down, and then we're going to formulate a plan to move forward with how we're going to really get you guys the costs in a way that we feel is the very best product we can get you.
Okay. And, I'll just because I know the board members, I'm going to put 30 minutes on that one. And I'm going to do my best to hold it, guys. I'm going to shut down if I can. Maybe, in fact, what I want to try to do is maybe make it clear from the start, if you think it's right that I'll go through these and say, this is the time I'm allotting for these.
That's fine.
Unless some real issue comes up that you set that, all right? Called Draft King.
It's perfectly reasonable, since you are the president and this is the agenda, that you can keep people within the boundaries of the time allotted for each
That's what
section.
this is for.
That's what that's for.
Not to hit them though, okay.
No.
Okay, anything else on
Noise.
wastewater? Sounds like you guys are getting prepared for that one. Number 4, capture and storage of LADWP water overflows. I requested this go there because I think it's time. It's one of those that we need to bring up again about not just but keeping in mind not just overflows, but potential banking. And because we've talked about it so much in the public, I don't think it can't be rediscussed. So somewhere in here, I'm going to bring up that there's 2 parts to this. One, if we're just going to try to capture the overflow on our own, and that's a cost we need to be looking at to do it efficiently. And the second would be to continue to work to approach LADWP about water banking. which handles both the issues and no real cost to us. If they, going back to their old request for, how long ago was that request, Jason? Do you remember when they came back? Was it 20 years now? When they first looked at it, we put a bid in to do water banking here. Is it that old? 15 maybe? Okay.
Okay.
That's where we want to head again. That's where I'm gonna try to direct us and get more concise on where we're headed with it. Any comments?
No.
Public? Nothing? Number 5, discussion on general manager and or staff weekly monthly reports. I asked for that.
This is for content and
Yeah.
format for the
But
reports.
I think to make that quicker, if you put together what you might want to give us on the rate, what you're going
It's
to
already
email.
on, it's already on the slide.
It's already in the slide, and we can tweak it if we want.
And there's some interesting stuff. I'll just mention this. Our staff spends a lot of time putting together these metrics and these reports. And I was talking with our IT department about, AI is a big thing. And what they talk about is AI is really good at going out and, hey, AI, I need an analysis of this kind of data. I don't know if those tools are available yet, but we're certainly looking into like how, I think it's important for the district. I mean, AI is the big new technology, and it's supposed to make things like generating all this kind of data that's useful to you guys very easy. And so we started exploring what tools are available. I don't think we're quite there yet where we can just say, hey, Mr. AI machine, go into my database and pull out these kind of reports and this kind of information and do this kind of analysis. But that kind of technology is coming, and it's important for us to think about how that'll help us in the future as we look at our systems.
And my intention is not to overload the staff with just supplying us a whole bunch of stuff that we don't have time to look at. And I agree with David. I don't like to get inundated. Don, bless his heart, would hit report he wrote, it'd always be everything red is new. But I couldn't tell new from old.
Some of the new stuff was 6 months old.
6 months old. So, I think I'm going to do is ask the board after your presentation what they want to see. Because, like, for instance, 2 things I want to see is, number 1 is I really like the monthly production report. The one that gave us what we did by the well and a total for the month, and it had a yearly. So when I'm going to publish it, how much water are we using? I'll have a general answer for that kind of thing. And I believe the other one was seeing where we rank but where we stand with the percentages of conservation we've done, that what we said to the state we were going to do. Remember 2013 and 16, where are we with those? So we can confidently say to the public, we're 30% better at conservation than we were in 2013 or something. Those are the only numbers that I really need to see. So that's what I think I'm going to do is after your thing, we'll just go through the board and see if there's anything they want, keeping in mind we don't want to burden you guys to give us information that we're just saying, oh, that looks real nice. That's a nice graph. Okay?
So identify the things that we really want to see, and the stuff that might be nice to see, and the stuff that we don't need to see.
Right, yeah. All right. Number 6, priority based on funding availability. I requested that this one, and I just felt that there's so many things happening and so many high-cost potential items that we're going to have, this one may take a while because this is a priority thing. Where do we want to prioritize? Because when we leave the workshop, I would like to be able to say to George and our consultants that these are things that we want to put a number on, plus or minus, I don't know what you could do at this point, something that will make it worthwhile for you, for engineering, and for all you guys to have. And that's where I'm looking to go with those.
When you say funding availability, do you mean funding that's currently on hand or bonding?
That I don't think that we're going to answer. I think what we're trying to do is say
How much of these
What-
costs
what
and what's
is- what-
realistically we can afford?
and what realistically we can afford and what
Okay.
priority. I know there's going to be argument on El Paso Basin. Some board members want it number 1, it may be number 2. So where are we going to? We want to come out so we have a ranking. Now there's only one that won't be on here.
Injection wells or perk ponds, that's probably, that ties into your LA.
Yeah, that's
overflow.
yeah.
Oh, okay,
That's
that's why you were saying number 6.
Because if we do injection wells, that's our cost. If for some reason we can get them to do injection for storage, then it may not cost us much of anything.
I mean, I guess if they wanted to bank, they would be willing to put the equipment in, but the permission to get banking from the northern counties is very slim. But if they were to say, we're gonna dump water, and if you want it, you're gonna have to pay for your own injection well, that's perfectly reasonable.
Well, yeah, they can do what they want with their water. They can take up to 120,000 acre feet through there
Yeah.
a year, and they're down to the 80s right now. So I think the only concern for the northern valleys, and we'll discuss this then, is are they going to increase that so they can bank? Okay.
All right,
But that's what we're looking for here is, so if there's any other projects, these are the ones that we came up, George and I came up with, is the El Paso Basin usage study and possible wells, I guess.
okay.
The injection well and or percolation pond. I think it's injection wells.
And I think there's some stuff on there that's obviously fallen down in priority.
Right. Wastewater.
The desalination sort of project.
Yeah,
You know, some of those things are things we're probably not likely to invest in the future, and sort of they were things that we were investing in, and
That's
so
right.
we just need to sort of look at where we want to,
electrical, I don't know if I want to put electrical vehicles on there as well, because we don't have any idea of cost yet. So I'm not sure
No,
we
we
want
don't, no,
So-
leave it off.
but
Yeah,
that is
beat
one
that
that,
horse.
I can tell you that the state has set aside a bunch of money. I don't know how you can get a hold of it. I don't know about, but certainly, yeah, those are things that when those come, I think we're going to end up starting looking at grants and
We need
funding opportunities through either federal or whatever state.
federal maybe, state, they have a $68 billion deficit. I don't know how much money they're gonna have for people.
well,
This year
Yeah.
or next even.
his new budget he signs has 22 million going into a rainy day fund. So somehow they're still finding money to tuck away.
Some,
What you're talking about, George, I believe is SB, in fact, I'm glad you brought this up. SB 122, SB 122
Okay.
was one that was signed, takes effect, and there's all kinds of sections. It's for clean air, electric power vehicles, getting past all the regulations quickly for water projects are in there. So I started to read it, but it's pretty lengthy and it covers a lot. It's like any bill they have, they cover as much as they can to make everybody happy. But there's money put aside there for, it could affect our wastewater treatment. It could affect anything we're doing that may improve our
Is this a
waters.
proposed bill?
No, it's signed. It was
Oh,
signed.
it was
It's been
signed,
signed. It's SB 122. Yeah, there may be money there to be had. And that includes, they talk about taking, again, money used to take substandard public utilities, small ones, and combine them with more. Yeah, so that may be where money starts coming from, if possible. But that's one, whoever wants to volunteer to read that, tell me it's a good job for Ty, I think. No, I'm just kidding.
it'll take more than a 10-hour day.
But just as you read, you'll just see this is a workforce that just won't. And that's where the electric vehicle money may come from. If
Okay.
All right. I don't know of anything else that needs to go on this list, George. And the board might have a couple other projects they want to tuck.
If they were a half an hour each, you've already got your 3 hours right there, and you
Right.
need 70 minutes for
Right.
so I think you've got your full agenda right here.
Right.
You may have to apply the gavel vigorously.
Yeah, I think. I'll give you one too. Gavel.
Okay, thanks.
Do a dual gavel. Okay. And then the board director goals. That's everybody does that on the fly. And any outstanding issues. We always have issues. See anything else, David?
No,
All right. I don't think we really made many changes, just some clarifications. So I think it's fine to go like it is. All right. What's next?
Nice work, Laura.
Future items is next. Nothing? Wow. So any comments? Nothing from the public, nothing from the board. All right, I guess we'll adjourn this meeting at 3:43.
okay.
Thank you, David. I knew this would be a longer meeting than normal.
Yeah.